Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's Jerry Miller. It's great to be with you. It's a Wednesday, and we have real estate, residential, real estate commercial on the mind, baby. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show. You know what we try to do. We try to spotlight the best of Charlottesville, the best of Central Virginia, and certainly a trend I'm seeing is some pretty fantastic growth in Greene County and Orange County and north side of Central Virginia. Matthew Woodson, who is a super agent with Wheeler Realty Co, will join us in a matter of moments to put God's country, yes, Greene County, into the spotlight here on the I Love CVille Show. Before we get to Matthew Woodson, let's thank some of the fantastic folks that make this program possible. First, Greenberry's Coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, for almost 3 decades, a husband and wife tandem from Charlottesville, Virginia, has built a global business. They started with a beat-up Honda Civic 27 years ago out of the McIntyre Office Park. It was their roasting facility at the McIntyre Office Park. Then they opened their first shop in Barracks Road Shopping Center. Today, Greenberry's Coffee has locations in Japan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, soon to open in Portland, and it started right here in CVille. It's the kind of story that gets me jazzed, baby. Also want to thank Scotty Wagner, Dr. Scott Wagner, Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. This man, an epicenter for wellness and quality care. Scott Wagner, who's got your back? Scott Wagner at Dr. Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine most certainly does. Hey, Caitlin, we see you. Hey, Lauren, April Dent Ward, Michael Allenby, Sarah Daly, Tyler Berry, your boy Blake Dudding. Let's go to the two-shot. Let's welcome Matthew Woodson to the program. Matthew, thank you kindly for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. You are an expert in real estate in Greene County, Orange County, north of town. We love real estate on this show. It's one of my passions. I feel like I'm on the MLS, no BS, probably 18 to 20 times a day. Mm-hmm. My wife thinks I have an obsession. She's like, nothing has changed since the last time you checked. I'm just into it.
Yep.
I just into it. First, who is Matthew Woodson, the man? The Matthew Woodson, the person? Hobbies, interests, what you like to do?
So Matthew Woodson, Jerry, thanks for having me again. There's nothing I'd rather do than to talk about the place that I live and work and the wonderful area of Greene County. I've lived in Greene my entire life, and so I really based most of my business out of there. Very active in the county and anything that I can typically get into, just because I love the area. Opened an office for Roy Wheeler back in 2007, mm-hmm. and have been working it through the good times and the bad, but it certainly has been better of late. My family's originally from there, have a hardware background, family business type of thing, but I also went to schools in Greene, so...
it's in your blood.
It's in my blood.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, so this guy, William Monroe, high school graduate, mm-hmm. Proud Green Dragon.
Absolutely.
Proud member of Green Hills
yes.
Country Club.
I
just found out that dude was a 6 handicap. 6?
And not in the winter, but in the summer.
Okay. So dude can keep it in the fairway and put the ball in the hole.
Yep.
And he loves real estate. He's evangelist of Greene County. What do you love about Greene County?
There's so much to love. You and I were talking about just when I come to town and come home, just anytime you get to that 33-29 corridor and head west, it is just so beautiful. It's a good mix of especially in the last few years, we've had a lot of commercial growth, making it much easier to live north of town. So if you have to go out to retail, restaurants, anything, things are so much closer, but you get 2 miles off the road, and I mean, you just have gorgeous mountain views, and it's just a wonderful place to live.
I love Greene County. Love the people. Love the intimacy.
Yep.
My mechanic, I feel like there's like 5 people you need in life that you can trust. The mechanic's one of them. Sneed's Automotive.
I use him.
Kirk Sneed's my boy.
More than I would like, but
same. He saved me thousands of dollars.
Yep.
One of my best friends is Kevin Quigley, who's working right there with Sneed's Automotive.
Yes.
I used to cover when I was working for the Daily Progress, the William Monroe athletic team, and know the school and the program well. Katie Brunell, the principal.
Yes.
Remember when she was a basketball coach at Orange County?
Did.
And now it's crazy.
Went to school with Katie.
Okay,
so.
And now her daughter is one of the best players in the United States of America. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Put that in perspective. A Sam Brunell impact in Greene County.
Well, I think it not just this year. I mean, you've seen this coming for a while. As toddlers, she used to come over to the house and play ping pong, and Rod, her father, we would spend time together. And even at the time when my daughter was 12, and I forget what her age was, but she was always towering above my daughter, even at that time. But we're so excited. I mean, even in the last 3 years, just being on the team, the national team, and going around.
The U.S. team.
So much. I mean, the U.S. team, and just even for her to come home and the welcoming. Talking about Greene County, just the people that would line up along the road.
A parade.
Just for her to come home. I mean, that's a whole lot about the community, and the Brunels to that point. So.
I think it also says something about Jess Stafford, the women's basketball coach at William Monroe. We got some commentary already on the stream. Ray Cadell says, I used to live in Sandersville. My sons from my first marriage grew up in Greene and went through the school system K through 12. I am a dragon dad, and Matthew Woodson is a super talented guy. Ray Cadell giving you some props
Ray,
here.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks, Ray. I love Ray, too.
April Dent Ward also giving you some props. We see you, the real estate agent, April Dent Ward, Fifeville specialist. Hello, April. Let's talk about the market. Every time, I got to be honest, every time I'm go north of town and I drive through Greene, okay, I get from the Albemarle County line over there past, where the Lord Harwick's was.
Yes.
And then I start getting into Greene. I feel like I see another building, another business, something new that's sprouted up in Greene. I mean, put that into perspective for us, Matthew.
Well, it comes in phases. I mean, we had seen this back as most of the communities in the mid-2000s, 2004, 2005. And then, of course, the economy, it did what it did. And it really put us kind of in a slow growth time period. There were lots of subdivisions that weren't getting finished out. We were seeing that in all communities surrounding Charlottesville. Commercial growth slowed, but we've certainly seen a resurgence in that in the last 3, 4, 5 years. Especially, I mentioned, the retail side, the Lowe's, the Walmarts, the UVA credit unions. I mean, we've just had so many things. For some of us, it doesn't happen fast enough. For others, that like yourself, who only come through, it looks so different. But certainly the county itself wants to see some commercial growth, some tax revenues, and have rolled out the red carpet to facilitate that.
You got a number of folks from Green Hills watching right now. Let's thank some people for watching. I encourage you guys to like this stream and to share this stream, okay? Let's get the spotlight on Matthew Woodson. He deserves it. He's an evangelist of Greene County. Like the stream and share it. Peyton Alley, thank you for joining us. Daniel, the Mayor Barnes, thank you for joining us. Andrew Frazier, Jeffrey Lara, Blake Dudding, Ray Cadell, Ray Padrell, Aaron Richardson, city editor over at the Daily Progress, Quentin Johnson, Gilly Garth, Andre Xavier. I can continue.
Yeah.
You're a popular guy. Let me throw this to you, okay? Real estate agent launching a brand new Roy Wheeler office. What, a couple months, 6 months, 8 months before an economic recession?
Yes.
I mean, put that in perspective. What we like to do is we like to celebrate entrepreneurs, and we like to talk about the trials and tribulations.
Yeah,
talk to me about
just a
that.
little background. My family had a hardware business, appliance service business that had been in business since 1977. So we were already pretty well known. Even at the time, there probably wasn't 11 or 12,000 people in Greene County. So you knew everyone that came in and out of your doors. So when I made a decision to go into real estate, it was an easy transition for me, and the one that you already have, knowledge of the area. A lot of the people.
You're trusted.
So I'd been in the business a very short period of time, and when I came to work for Roy Wheeler and to actually open an office, and that was in the late part of the year of 2006. So anyone could imagine how excited I was, because the market was crazy at the time. And anyway, we finally start working on the build out. Actually, at the time, it was next to Lord Hardwick's is where we first opened, which is now, kudos to
Eric Saunders.
Coppersmith.
Yeah, Eric Saunders
is now there. Everyone should go in there. Great restaurant.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were open up for 6 months at best. June of 2007, only to watch the bottom fall out. So you went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in a very short period of time in this business. So anyway, but we struggled through. It was a trying time, but we I'm always proud to say that I don't think that we ever, the office itself continued to profit, because I think at the time maybe we were the only full service agency in Greene at the time. Long story short is, we persevered, and so around about 2012, things really started to pick back up for Greene County and for our office.
I got to give you props. I want to give Michael Guthrie, my boy, some props too, because you guys had the cojones to open an office in essentially a new market, a market that at the time was not exploding. There was still plenty of Albemarle County to accommodate the growth that was happening in Albemarle County. The whole south side of Charlottesville, 5th Street Station, all that hadn't happened yet.
Nope.
So that was a risk. When he went to you or you talked to him and said, I'm going to open an office that focuses only on Greene County, maybe some Orange County, what were people telling you?
Well, it was growing everywhere at the time, but I do think, it's looking out into the future. The north side was slated for growth, even in Albemarle. The portions of 29. Greene County was being very forward thinking and new sewer systems and things like that. So I think that we could all see it coming down the road. What we didn't see was the drop off, but we're picking up where we left off, and risk. You talk about being excited and scared all at the same time to be opening this office and then to have that happen. But it's been a blessing to me, quite frankly, to be able to live and work. It's a rarity that I have to go more than 7 or 8 miles from my office and actually make a living. And I don't have to go to Louisa or Fluvanna, and that there's enough business just on that north side to sustain.
Ray Pedrell says, great stuff, Matthew. He's a stand-up guy, but don't let that guy fool you. He's tough on the golf course. He's razor tough. Ray is giving you some props over here, Matthew.
That Ray and I have played golf quite a bit. Ray has a big old hook, but can certainly keep the ball in play. But
what do you think of Ray's beard? That beard's coming in nice.
It is, actually. When he first started, Ray, I thought, what is he doing? But that thing, the last time I saw him, I thought, he looks great with a beard.
Is that some Blake Dudding influence right there on Ray's beard?
You know what? It may be just a Green Hills thing. I'm not sure. I tried it for a short period of time, but it wasn't my thing. So.
One of the things I want to talk to you about, all right, on a serious note here, is the accommodations of business. I read a story the other day in the newspaper that there are more Airbnbs happening in Greene County than just about any other county here in Central Virginia, maybe number one, okay? And where I'm going with this is the folks that are being trusted with the future of Greene County are very different in a lot of ways than the folks that are being trusted with the future of Charlottesville and Albemarle County. And the folks in Albemarle County and Charlottesville are oftentimes more focused on, social justice as opposed to economic growth. Everything I just said is fair. What seems to be happening in Greene County is a prioritization of economic growth because the folks understand a healthy economy in the county is going to have, cater and improve the quality of life in the county.
Yes.
Let's start open-ended first, Matthew. Put that in perspective.
Well, I won't get into the Charlottesville.
Yeah, you're not into the politics.
Piece of it.
Yeah.
But certainly being involved in many things and not elected office, but always wanting to have some influence or at least to say so. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes they don't. But it's in a microcosm of regional things. We all struggle. I think that Greene County is no different. That with comes growth, comes change. And there's some resistance to that from time to time. And decisions that are made today will be looked back on no differently than we do now, looking back 20 years going, what if we would have done this? But we can only look at statistical data and growth patterns and where we think we're going to be and try to make the best decisions, not for, next week, but 5 years and 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. And that's kind of, I think, where we've been, and that's the thought processes that we've been in for, really going back to the early 2000s, and we're now seeing those planning things kind of coming to fruition.
Great answer. So let's do this. We got a new director behind the board, Harris. Thank you, sir. That answer that Matthew just gave us was fantastic. We'll turn that into a sizzle reel, get it into the 2-shot, and then mark down the time so we can get the sizzle reel afterwards. We're going to create highlights from the show.
Okay.
And the highlight you just did was money. It was so on point. The old guard of Greene. There's, from what my experience, and in any area, there's kind of 3 types of people.
Sure.
Okay? Mm-hmm. There's the people that are 1,000% opposed to any kind of change whatsoever.
Yes.
There's the people that are helping drive the change. And then there's everybody else that's kind of in the middle. Some people don't care. Some people really have other priorities. Some people may be into it. Some people are kind of against it, but they're in the middle. Yeah. Okay? The old guard, the OG of Greene County, I'm sure that they have big time opposed to some of the changes that have happened in the county. Can you put their perspective into the ecosystem so we can learn?
I think I can, because I would consider myself, as I said,
you have roots.
I live there.
Yeah.
And so many of those people are good friends of mine, and not to get into to respect their views. When I say I live there, I live on the northwest portion of the county, and it's, to our point, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. We don't want to see those areas with a lot of change. I mean, that's to your point about the Airbnb, and I'd love to come back to that. The Standardsville area, which is a quiet little town, which has been going through some revitalization things to, beautification and roads and facades and things of that nature. That's what makes Greene County. That's what I think about a lot, and to the point about resistance to change, and people, are scared of what they don't know. But sometimes we have to step out and out of our comfort zones to know that that these things are going to happen, and you can't act like they're not going to happen. So all you can do is hope to control them and manage them in a way that is positive, not just for tomorrow, but 30 years from my kids, if they happen to stay there or whatever. It is those folks need to be heard, but it's all about information. A lot of things. I mean, whether it's social media, whether it's going to a county board meeting. It's being involved. I mean, I think typically when you're involved and you have the information in front of you, you can make those decisions. A lot of the I don't want to use the word negative, but the naysayers are typically, I think that their information is different or lacking or not. For
example,
I'll use the water impoundment. Which I'm in favor of, and it's, I think we all understand that it's a huge undertaking. It's a huge financial burden in the future, But I don't want to be the one to 20 years or 30 years from now or 10 years from now to have people looking back going, why weren't they doing this back then? Because we've run out of water. You talk about the growth curve. It's water users. I mean, there are times now that drought seasons, even when there's high usage of water, that we get up against a pretty gray line of whether we have enough. We've not had to go into a point, which I think we probably could have had water restrictions. And right at this time we work from wells, and we work from the Rapidan River, which is those are flowing waterways, and certainly when those water tables go down, typically our water usage does not. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that I think that there are folks who believe that we're just building this for the sake of building it, that there are other things driving state regulations or mandates, that we have a water plan, and this is part of a water plan that's actually been in play for 40 years. I mean, just the fact that it's just now at coming to a point of where we're thinking about building it, trying to figure out how to pay for it. We already have the land. It's not a point where you can just stop. Whether that comes online in 3 years or 5 years or 7 years, I mean, it's really bigger of a bigger plan. So.
Good answer right there. Let's thank some folks for joining us. John Jane III, thank you for joining us. Gregory Holder from Green Hills, thank you for joining us. Kenny Gilbert, thank you for joining us on the program. Like the stream and share the stream. The spotlight is on Greene County. Blake, thank you for sharing the stream. Ray, thank you for sharing the stream. Tim Ryan, thank you for sharing the stream. Like it and share it and get the spotlight on Matthew Woodson. Corbin Snow, thank you for joining
Corbin.
us on the program. Corbin, you guys may talk after this program here. This is something I want to throw to you. You know, a lot I want to cover. In fact, questions are coming in now from folks that are participating on the show. Let's talk about new residential construction in Greene versus existing homes that are happening in Greene. Are we seeing north of Charlottesville, in Greene County, in Orange County, the same shiny things, new construction, white kitchens, and it's consuming buyers and to new construction as opposed to existing homes? Is it similar that's happening in Greene as well?
It is. Greene has had a year that we haven't seen in new construction since the mid-2000s. It's been at least 10 or 11 years since we've seen the volume of new construction that has happened. Most of that has to do with one community that's come online that is, quite frankly, I mean, it is a well-needed price point.
Which
home.
community?
It is Oxford Hills.
Okay.
And it's just down Matthew Mill Road, just behind the sheets, as most people will recognize. And
what's the price point?
The price point is low to mid twos.
Okay.
For single-family residents. Anyway, it's a great community. I'm going to quote some numbers. I think 78 contracts maybe since April, since it came online.
Wow.
We haven't had that type of new construction. Not of that volume. I don't think ever. And so, talking about the report that just came out from CAR, you know, we saw some huge percentage gains in sales data, especially in the fourth quarter. And a lot of that is attributed to that. I think in the residential existing side, we were slightly above where we were in 2017. But most of those gains were strictly in that new construction, which I was mentioning and talking to someone the other day is you know, there's been a bit of a holdback on the residential side from developers and builders on Greene because we had not had any we haven't had statistical data to say that it was ready again, and so I think this is certainly a great example of what a new community could do in Greene. So I think you will see more. There's some diverse things coming on there. I think the board just approved another an apartment complex just across from the Lowe's there off of Moore Road, which will
more new construction.
It's more new construction. It's apartments. There are some attached dwelling conversations that are going on, which is you know, it's not apartments, but it is you know, ownership in attached homes, which is I think it keeps a price point where people, you know, people that are commuting into Charlottesville, you know, can't afford the $450,000 homes.
Totally get it.
It's just it's a great change of direction for us. You know, there's still plenty of places to build $450,000 homes, but this is the first one. Oxford Hills being a place that gets it back into a blue collar worker. You know.
First-time home buyer,
potentially.
First-time
home buyers,
yeah.
You know, and I didn't. One of the influences I think that I'd mentioned to you before coming in today is, you know, what has been a regular, you know, buyer for us has been the move in and out and the ramp up of the NGIC facility. Natural Ground Intelligence Center, just north of Greene County. You know, that has been a huge influence for us, really, since the it probably really drug us through the downturn with buyers wanting to be close to. I mean, there are areas in Ruckersville that you can get to that facility in, you know,
7 minutes,
7 or 8 minutes.
Totally, yeah, so easy.
So you know, and the value of you know, trying to find something in Albemarle County, you know, close, you know,
or
which,
that
you know,
you can afford.
That you can afford.
Yeah.
You know, and so we see that, you know, bang for your buck. People saying, you know, I can get more and still be close to work.
Let me give you the layman's perspective. You're the expert.
Okay.
Average Joe's perspective. And before I do that, Kenny Gilbert, I see you sharing that feed. I love you some Kenny Gilbert. Thank you, Kenny Gilbert, for sharing that feed. April
I worked
Dent
with
Ward.
Kenny a couple times.
April Dent Ward, thank you for sharing that feed. Blake and Ray, thank you for sharing that feed. Guys, let's put the spotlight on Greene County, baby. Like the stream, share the stream. We also appreciate Corbin and Andre. We have Sarah Hill Buchensky watching us, your colleague at Roy Wheeler. We have Ingrid Lukoski. I think I'm butchering your name, but thank you for watching, Ingrid. Here's where I'm going to go. Okay. I'm a homeowner in Albemarle County. Okay. I live south of town, south side, Redfields.
Okay.
Home value because of a grocery store, Wegmans, has appreciated, say, $125K in 5 years.
Right.
It has now effectively priced me a few years ago out of the market.
Right.
You understand?
Yep.
The home, obviously you do. This is what you do for a living.
Yes.
The Fifth Street is causing Redfields and south side of CVille to go so high that folks 5-6 years ago are now being priced out of the market that otherwise would have purchased there.
Right.
So where I'm going with this, a lot of the folks that are not able to afford in the city of Charlottesville or Albemarle County are basically saying, let me go right over this imaginary line.
Right.
Where there is price point and inventory that is more robust, that is able to be afforded, and they just pick up the newspaper and read the growth that's happening on the north side of the side of Charlottesville and Greene County.
Yep.
They're probably thinking, well, my investment's going to be okay because look what's happening over here. Is this what's causing a lot of the growth? Folks like this that are essentially priced out of Charlottesville and Albemarle County?
Absolutely. And that wouldn't just be Greene County. That could also
Fluvanna,
be Louisa,
Orange.
Fluvanna.
Yeah.
You see that. And I think that's an economic thing. You know, we saw the same thing happen in the mid-2000s where pricing escalated so sharply in Albemarle that people move out. I think when the economy's bad, people move inward, prices come back down, people want to be closer to work. So, we're seeing exactly what happens in an ebb and flow in a real estate world. Economy's good, people move towards the burbs.
Sure.
Things go bad, people move closer to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me throw this to you here. And Eric Oots, thank you for joining us. Jay Wyatt, thank you for joining us. Where I'm going with this is, when Greene is at, how close is Greene to being potentially at capacity?
Of
Too much density. How close is Greene
Well,
to...
our density really is, we are still a rural community.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to make any beans about that. We're still a rural community. We are, somebody may fact check me on that. I think we are the second smallest landmass county in the state. Practically, I think if you took out what is actually in the Parkway, we may be the smallest. But most of that density is in the Ruckersville area, along the 29 corridor. You have a little bit around the town of Standardsville, but rest of it is, it's mostly rural areas. Just as if you were riding through Madison County, it's farms, it's just forests. I mean, there's a lot of parts of Greene County that are still you don't have to go very far. I mean, that's 2 or 3 miles off. So I don't think that we're near any type of density situations. I worry more about some of the things we talked about before, and that's water capacity, sewer capacity,
infrastructure,
things like infrastructure things, which are really more of the limiting factors that we're seeing today.
We have one person on the stream, Tracy Riot Laws, that says keep that development close to Route 29 and nowhere near Route 29. What do you think about Tracy Laws' comment there?
Well, so Tracy has a
you know Tracy.
I do. Tracy has a place near me.
You're like the mayor here, aren't you?
Standardsville. And so she lives there for the same reasons that I do. I mean, I live in an area that's a beautiful views, mountain views, and near Green Hills, quite frankly. So, those are the areas that I love and have grown up in. And I don't disagree. I mean, we want to see growth, but we want to see growth in a managed way in an area that we can. I use the word control, but
strategic growth.
Strategic growth.
You and I are the same kind of thinkers here. Yeah. You
Yeah.
understand that the growth is what's going to drive the economy.
Correct.
It's got to be done in a way that's not urban sprawl,
Right.
i.e. Northern Virginia.
I don't, nothing against the subdivision
Right.
or Oxford Hills. I don't want one of those in my backyard.
But you don't mind selling them.
Well, that have to pay the bills. So.
Right, you do. Let me throw how about this? Educate the layman between the difference between Ruckersville and Standardsville.
There's a huge difference. So you'll hear in any conversation about real estate between brokers and and if anyone's getting their license and learning this, and it's real estate is so micro. You can talk about a whole community, but it's still individual areas. There are areas even in Greene, as small as we are, that are slower than others, that are more rural than others, that are harder to get to. I mean, these back roads aren't straight, so I mean, it takes some time to get there. But Ruckersville is exactly what we were talking about. I mean, these are typically folks that are hopefully opening businesses or working in Ruckersville or working on the north side of Albemarle. They like it because it's a straight shot down 29.
It's close.
But if if you have to go out and get milk at 10 o'clock, you can still run out to Food Lion, or and it's only 2 or 3 minutes away. That is what most of our buyers are looking for. Most of the time, the people aren't looking to have 10 acres, on the west side of Standardsville. Standardsville is a beautiful town. Like any small town, I mentioned, Madison, Gordonsville, Scottsville, that kind of got passed by over, the 80s and the 90s, where they, bypass around Standardsville was horrible for the town because it stopped that transient person that was going through. The businesses shut down, and we've seen a resurgence in that. Trying to get shops and businesses to come back to the main street. And that takes people to frequent those places for those places to survive. But we're seeing that we have the Standardsville area revitalization project that's been going on now for, I think, 14 years. Started out with a T grant, and you'll see some beautification things, some facade changes. Those are folks that I would typically say more the people that I grew up with and that still work in the county. Prefer maybe to live on the west side of town. 33 is a 4-lane highway. Your Standardsville to Ruckersville is less than 10 minutes. But that is a much slower sales data. I mean, if you pull up a map and see where the sales are coming from, you'll see that most of it comes in the Ruckersville area. We'd like to see some growth in the town. I don't think that anyone in my business or that inside the county that is expecting or wanting to see sprawl in Standardsville. We love the rural character.
The intimacy.
It is. It's a fantastic place. If anyone hasn't been to the Lafayette or something there, it's just
awesome.
Just a great place to visit for a day trip or, for lunch or something. It's just it's a quaint town. You've seen the same thing happen in Scottsville, did their revitalization. Madison, the town. Gordonsville, which has done a fabulous job of revitalizing their downtown.
Let me throw this to you. Missy Good, thank you for joining us. You have a lot of folks watching you right now. Missy Good, thank you for joining us. Michael Guthrie says, talk about how the commute is so much easier now with the widening of 29.
Yeah.
You've touched on that briefly. Put that into perspective. I also want to talk about business dynamics of Greene County being so receptive and open to entrepreneurs, and it even seems to be developers. It looks like to me, City of Charlottesville and Albemarle County are like what the City of Charlottesville and Albemarle County is doing to entrepreneurs and developers.
I
know, dude. I was just going to say that, dude. You guys are
we love Charlottesville.
I know, dude. You guys are benefiting so much from the incompetence of a handful of people. And I don't want to get into my
Zion's
personal
Crossroads. Yeah. I know we're here to talk about Greene, but you're seeing that outside of the
Oliver Kootner straight up told me off the show, I am not going to deal with City Hall. I'm taking my money to Lynchburg.
Right.
Keith Woodard says no to $1.2 million of his own money on Water Street, 2 years of his time, and says, I'm walking away for 2 years of my time and $1.2 million because I don't want to deal with you guys.
And it's much more comfortable to watch that on the outside, by the way.
Right. Well, can you imagine my perspective? My entire business is tied to the positivity and economic growth of Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And I'm watching potentially a handful of people
we don't
negative.
Want you here.
Right. We won't get into that, but you can tell I'm passionate about it.
I can.
Okay. So let me throw this to you. Guthrie, 2 questions. Talk about how the commute is so much easier with the widening of Route 29 and explain how Four Seasons is being revitalized.
Yeah. Both. We'll start with the widening. So I'll speak more to my wife's perspective, who travels to UVA 3 or 4 days a week, because I mentioned before I don't go 7 or 8 miles. So when I do come into town, it's nice, but I'm not usually in that during the traffic section. But the widening, which has certainly been an improvement, the Rio intersection, probably the biggest for someone who's headed downtown. That bottleneck right there was probably the biggest improvement in my opinion. There may be some data out there that says different, but that, the widening, I think, was as much thinking about the future of 29 corridor north to Culpeper, that portion of it, and the future growth of Albemarle County and Greene. That has certainly helped. I know I certainly enjoy it a whole lot more than what we used to have to go through. I would often say that folks that come from Northern Virginia that buy here, talk about the complaints that we have about traffic. And we don't know traffic
right.
compared to 66
right.
or 95 or the people that live up there. And Michael, who lived up there for quite some time, he could attest to that as well. Yeah.
So let me throw this to you here. The corridor now easier to navigate. The traffic light at Rio and 29, one of the reasons why I wasn't at then going north of town. It was so scary. Now it's much easier to traverse. Did you immediately see an uptick in residential business once that thoroughway became easier to use?
I don't know that I would see. I think the economy had most of the uptick.
Got it.
I do think that the folks that may be looking at any of the other surrounding areas, had heard negative about the the traffic on that 29 corridor. But if they're here now, I don't know that it's something that we talk about on a daily basis, other than it's something that you feel or that especially if you've lived there for a while. You know the difference that used to take you 35 minutes to get downtown, that maybe I can get there now in 28 minutes.
Right.
So that 7 minutes feels like an eternity
Totally.
if you're sitting at traffic lights.
Well,
and
especially
waiting
after
on it.
you've worked a 13-hour day.
Yes. Yep.
And the only thing you want to do is get home, kiss your wife, and have a cold beer.
That's right.
Okay?
Yep.
Because that's what I think
In
about
that
doing.
order.
She's watching right now. Kiss my wife twice and then have a cold beer. I love you, babe. I know you're watching over here. She's always checking on me.
Right.
The business dynamic. I've touched on this briefly. I have heard from so many people that doing business in Greene County is awesome.
Sure.
It's welcoming. It's the folks that are in charge of driving economic growth, the folks that are in charge of regulation, of maybe putting the golf cart throttle on the growth.
Or being on the same page.
Or on the same page.
Yeah.
I've heard they actually have communications and have one-on-one talking. And it's you know what? I'm going to put it in perspective, okay? And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. Mayor Walker, Charlottesville mayor, was on this show. And she was on the show a few weeks ago. And she straight up told us on air, on a microphone, that she has not had one-on-one conversations with Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. She has not done this with Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. When I heard that, I was terrified that the mayor of Charlottesville is not interacting with the 5 or 7 people that run Albemarle County. Right. How crazy is that, ladies and gentlemen? Where I'm going with that is, it seems to be the exact opposite in God's country.
Right.
Can you put
and
in perspective?
Talk about it. So I served.
What'd you serve as?
I served on the Economic Development Authority for.
And we'll get you a little closer to the mic.
8 years.
Okay.
For 8 or 9 years, up until probably 2013 or 14. Anyway, and Alan Yost, who is our Economic Development Director, is doing a fabulous job. So passionate about Greene, lives in Greene, used to be a principal in the Greene County school system. Many years ago, I think that we understand that the communication is where it is. I think that is a breakdown, not just in localities, but just in business in general.
Right.
I mean, it's all about communication.
Right.
And whether it's the zoning director, whether it's the board of supervisors, the planning commission, whether it's even the developers and folks like me who even still, I'm passionate about it and want to see smart growth. I know that's such a cliche to say, but
strategic growth.
Strategic growth. Yeah. We're still working with Alan as best we can about where infrastructure is, where it should be, where we see growth. We just went through a planning stage about what do we believe or hope to see Ruckersville look like in 20 years, in 50 years. And those are the type of conversations you have to have today. If not, then it morphs into whatever it morphs into.
Totally.
And so to go back to the naysayers, I mean, there are people who say, who really thinks that far ahead? Well, you better.
Right.
If not, then it's just going to be sprawl. And at least, we can say we want to see development. We want to see it here. We want to see, commercial growth in here. And so they all work together, connectivity and things like that. Otherwise, you end up with spaghetti.
I love that answer. Let's turn that into a sizzle reel. Harris. Thank you, Harris, for turning that into a sizzle reel right there. Guys, like the stream. I thought what Matthew Woodson just said, if I was from Greene County, I would be tapping the light button nonstop right now because what you said was on point.
Right.
If you guys can like and share it, we would greatly appreciate the spotlights on Greene County and what Matthew Woodson's doing here. Here's how I look at it, okay? And it's a microcosm. The Airbnb piece is a microcosm. Okay, the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors legitimately right now are trying to write new regulation that would limit and throttle and essentially kibosh Airbnbs in Albemarle County.
Right.
The Greene County folks that are in similar positions as the Board of Supervisors in Albemarle County
We'll take the crumbs.
are doing the exact opposite. And Greene County is saying, give us all the freaking Airbnbs possible.
Yes.
And there was a story out in the Daily Progress, and I'll throw it back to you. There was a story out in the Daily Progress that I encourage you guys to read. And it was about how Greene County is doing more Airbnbs than any county in Central Virginia, maybe any county in the state of Virginia. Don't quote me about that. Just research Greene County and Airbnb. Right. Okay? The show is yours. Talk to us.
No, well, to that point, I think the Airbnb statistical data came out, I think, of 40 localities in the state. We ranked 10th, and 10th behind some pretty big...
Major players.
Yeah, some really major players. I mean, we're still just... We have no metropolitan areas,
right.
To do these things. And it's just one Airbnb. It's not VRBO. But to your point about what we've seen structurally change in the county is along with this growth that we continue to aspire for in Ruckersville, the point about the rural areas. We know that we want to salvage those. We want to hold on to those. And some of the ways to do that are to give these farm owners and people options that they can...
I love this guy.
That they can actually, have these things. So 10, and I forget, it was on dollar volume, I think is how that we're doing it. And we are seeing these things pop up. And it's not, they're not creating excessive traffic, but they are keeping someone from dividing it off and selling it to somebody else and selling it. But it's a great way. And again, when we go back to the beauty, there are so many gorgeous places up and down. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, we just passed this week the rural scenic byway through Route 230 from Madison, then down 810 all the way. If anyone has never done that drive from Route 810 from Standardsville to Crozet, it is gorgeous. Those are the areas that we're seeing these Airbnbs, giving people the time, the ability to come down from D.C. or up from Lynchburg or wherever they may be coming from and stay in a rural area close into Charlottesville, spend their money, and then go home.
Yeah. Dude, let's put it on a two-shot right here, Harris. And let's thank some people for joining us. Missy Good, thank you for joining us. Eric Oots, thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking and sharing the stream. Like this stream and share this stream. Let's get the spotlight on Greene County. Des Raj, owner Extreme Pizza, thank you for joining us. Let's get the spotlight on Woodson and Greene County. I love everything what you just said. You and I, in fact, are...
We're going to play golf one day.
Very identical with our ideology.
Right.
Okay? You are for a system that allows entrepreneurs and the cream to rise to the top. The best of the best. Mm-hmm. But you do it in a way that's strategic, that's going to allow development that preserves the authenticity of the community without limiting the growth in the future of the community.
Sure. Yes.
We're in agreement right there. What I really thought that you said was really, really smart, and I'm curious of how the community is responding. If we give the folks in Greene County that own the large plots of land, the rural land that you want to keep rural, because that's what people love about God's country, is not seeing buildings. You can see land, you can see sunsets, you can see the Blue Ridge, okay? Allowing and maintaining that sense of beauty is going to be difficult. And why it's going to be difficult is because when that land starts going from first generation to second generation to third generation, from what I found, when the third, fourth generation starts getting the land, they see dollar signs and not necessarily dad brought home the oldest son, the firstborn here, and that's where he learned to walk on the floor. Right. My wife sees real estate, oh my gosh, Trey crawled there. I see real estate, my house has improved 18% in 5 years. Look at the, okay? So where I'm going with this
different
is...
perspective.
Different perspective. Yeah. Where I'm going for this is the land and the rural areas to keep rural. You're basically saying allow these people to make money on this land by accommodating Airbnbs. So when their tax assessments increase, they're not just saying, dude, we're giving the county more money and we're getting no return for it. Right. Show is yours.
Yeah, well, so anytime you're in a rural area, I mean, the taxes go up. Well, there are also ways, land use taxation and stuff like that. But working farms, like we would have seen dairy farms and things like that of 30 years ago.
Subdivided.
The money is not there. I mean, these folks are typically, most farmers even today in our area are not full-time farmers. it's a dying breed, and I hate to,
It's
but
true.
it is. I mean, people come in, they buy these farms up, and then they lease them out to someone who still wants to farm, who, by the way, also has a full-time job, and then comes home and then farms. I mean, the viability of having these super farms that can be held together for generations is not the way it was 50 years ago. And that's the big picture that people have to look at. I mean, it's you want to see it stay that way, but you have to give them an ability to be able to keep it that way.
Love that answer.
Yeah.
I love that answer. How's the old guard respond to that answer? Because I'm sure there's some beef there. Is there beef?
There is. I mean, I think that we're all reluctant to change.
That's right.
And
Totally
and that's
what it is.
not and I mentioned I have so many good friends, and not discounting them. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, there are times I've thought that I had the right answers, and then spoke to someone who maybe was a naysayer, what I believed, and I've changed my mind.
Love that about you.
You have to have, you do have to, if you're going to be against something, at least have good concrete reasons why, or if you're not going to move forward with strategic planning of some sort, what do you expect to happen? I expect these farms to continue to get broken up. I mean, in every locality, whether it's Madison County, Orange County, Greene County, we all have our own agriculture division right ordinances of how land can be divided. And I will say that Greene County is probably more liberal in that regard, but at the same time, these are the same folks that don't want their property rights taken away. And by the way, I'm a real estate agent, so I'm all about property rights.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, your alternative is to move towards something like Madison County, or God forbid, Rappahannock County, where your ability to divide land or give to your kids or sell off a piece of land to, because you had a bad year in crops, is limited to time divisions or non-ability to divide it at all. You have to be careful if you're not going to move forward with some type of change. The change you're going to get is going to be forced on you.
That's well said.
Yeah.
That is very well said. Wendell Gibson, thank you for joining us on the stream.
Wendell.
Missy Good, thank you for sharing the stream, Missy Good. She says, Greene County peeps, you should be watching this, and Matthew Woodson. Thank you, Missy Good, for sharing the stream. Greene County, share the stream and like the stream. We're talking about Greene County in a positive spotlight. I'm going to throw a question to my boy that's on the stream right now. This question from my boy, Corbin Snow. Corbin Snow is considering a Snows, maybe north of town.
Love to have it. Love to have it.
Maybe over the border,
Yes.
from not in Almora, but in Greene. Corbin, let Corbin know about this, guys. Corbin, you watching right now? I think I see him. Yeah, he is watching right now. Let me throw this to you. Snow's Garden, north of town, Greene County. Your thoughts?
Well, it's exactly what we want to be diverse in what we do in Greene County as far as business goes. And I certainly don't want to speak for Alan or anyone else, but we want to see job producers. We want to see tax revenue. We want to see flourishing businesses, and not of just one sector. I mean, we have to have plants and landscapers, and we need, we'd love to get more office, low impact offices, whether it's government facilities or health services related. I mean, these are all the things that we have. Something I've often mentioned in talking about Greene County is that we don't have a railroad system, which is antiquated, but we have no waterway. We don't have an airport. We don't have a huge lake. We don't have anything other than the 29 corridor. And what we are trying to do is use what we have. We're a corridor between Northern Virginia, Culpeper, Charlottesville, and that is where we are going to make our tax revenues. I mean, it's
totally
where we have to understand that's where our infrastructure needs to be. It also will keep, going back to dividing up farmland, is, and we do it. I mean, I'm in the business of knowing what these ordinances allow us to do. Growth in Ruckersville keeps us from dividing those properties up. I mean, that's the big picture to me, and someone would have to tell me otherwise or show me how that doesn't affect it. But that is why we want residential growth. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, we're not going to have businesses without demographics of people to support those businesses. So, it's a very, docile thing to handle of how much growth of residential versus how much commercial we're having in. But certainly, I think that once we have some of some bigger things, I mean, people always saying to me, I hear we're getting an Olive Garden, or I hear we're getting this or that. I mean, by the way, we're not to my knowledge, but but we're not going to get these things. These folks have so many resources to figure out what's their demographic, how much the median income is in our area. Are these people going to come out and eat at our restaurant? Walmart, probably knows as much about our county as anybody with the research and development that they did before they came here. So, I think we have to realize that that some of that residential growth is necessary evil to be able to impact our tax revenues for
So
commercial.
you say Corbin. Bring it, baby.
Hey, bring it up. We would love to have him up there. And of course, he does a great job in Charlottesville. I do listen to your show,
the radio show,
time to time. Yeah.
You get some props here, Corbin.
My wife more than me. I don't really have much of a green thumb. He could probably help me with that.
Phyllis Templeton, thank you for joining us. Lee Hughes, commercial real estate extraordinaire, thank you for joining us. Lee does good work. Now no longer CBRE. They got bought out.
Yes.
I forgot who you got bought out for, Lee. Put it in the chat if you can. Thank you. Share the stream, like the stream. Spotlight on Greene County. When did you start realizing, or what is a business that came to the area in Greene where you're like, man, we got these guys, we about to boom? Was it the Walmart? Was it the Lowe's?
Well, that's the retail aspect of it. I mean, retail helps the residential portion of it. I mean, I think that if Alan were sitting here with me today, that's a part of commercial growth. I mean, I think what we would really like to see is things more, that are that are low impact, low water impact, quiet industrial type. Not industrial is a bad word, but business-related things in that regard,
like in
job producers, not we're not. I don't want to see the the $10 an hour cashiers, but more of people that can live and work in a position that is sustainable without having to drive to Charlottesville or to UVA or to we do have another great portion of Greene County is certainly the UVA Research Park, which is again 5 minutes north of Greene County. Those are some of the things that we'd love to lure into the Ruckersville area.
Lee Hughes giving you props, guys. It's Collier's International as of January 1. Right. And he says, hey, Matt, let's get on the links really soon, buddy. So Lee Hughes wants to get on the golf course with you. For me, you know what it was?
Lee beats me down. So.
Is he good? Dude, I heard Lee's jump shot. We're talking basketball. I heard Lee Hughes' jumper is wet, man. That dude can stroke it from downtown.
I haven't seen him play basketball, but yeah.
He's posted some videos on his Facebook page on his son
he
at
reminds
the driving range.
He reminds me more of a guy who would stand behind the three-point line.
And can straight up drop downtown jumpers.
Right.
And his son is turning into a good golfer, too. Lee, we see what you're doing over here. Let me throw this to you. And this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but also not tongue-in-cheek. Carter Richardson from Greene, thank you for joining us. I love you some Carter. Thank you for watching us, Carter. This is when I started realizing, oh my gosh, what's happening in Greene? Tongue-in-cheek, but not really. Right. When you guys got Jack's Shop Kitchen, and you guys have essentially a farm-to-table restaurant.
My wife's favorite place to go.
Where I'm going with this is when a farm-to-table put a menu together based on what the chefs can find that week or that month at the market.
Yes.
And it's having success.
Yes.
And sustainability. That's when I started saying, oh my gosh, it's not just the truck stop. It's not just a 29 diner. Okay? Yeah. Now there's a farm-to-table restaurant here, Jack Shop Kitchen, that's making moves and has popularity. Your thoughts?
Well, not just Jack Shop, but which is completely different than just regular restaurants that we're all used to going to. The Coppersmiths came in, and
Eric Saunders
has done a fabulous job there. And I know I'm going to forget somebody. Wolf's Fixin's just opened here in the last
finally
six.
The barbecue joint, right?
Yeah, he did that right, boy. He created a huge amount of.
Did he do it right? I mean, years of buzz.
Yeah, I don't know. We all were like, when is this thing going to open?
Right.
But yeah, no, great place to go. Love to go up there and have lunch. I forget where we were going there. The farm to table.
Yeah.
Again, such a different experience to go in there. Unfortunately, they're not open for dinner. They do more of a breakfast, lunch menu, or mid-afternoon, I think is what it goes to. But what a great place to go, and I would advise anybody to go out and have lunch there sometime. It's great.
It's your wife's favorite.
Yes.
Jack Shop's Kitchen, guys, is bona fide. I know the folks that are watching have been, but go there, Albemarle County. Go there, Charlottesville City. If you have not been there, it will not disappoint you. It is very, very good. Like the stream, share the stream here. Guthrie, Michael Guthrie, great things, man. Phones blown up with people giving you props right here. Guthrie says, great things happening in your office. Thanks,
Michael, for that.
Give us why great things are happening at your office. And also, Michael Guthrie says, and he's totally right, big time props to Sean. Is it Sean Hayes at Blue Ridge Cafe?
Sean Hayes.
They own the real estate.
So
and the restaurant.
They own, well, Sean's been there. Gosh, I remember
Blue Ridge
Sean,
Cafe.
when he broke up as a cafe, was no bigger than your space here.
Yeah.
And but turned it in quite a catering facility. I don't want to get into that. He may be half and half, I don't know, but he does a huge catering business and does a great job. And then opened up, is always diversifying. He ended up opening up the lounge,
the bar,
the Blue Ridge Bar, right?
Yeah,
which is
the place to watch the game.
Popular place to go.
Yeah, I've gotten rowdy in that place, man. I'm talking that place gets down. He's doing great.
You've probably been with my brother there then.
That's a conversation for off air.
Right.
But it would be keep going.
Yeah, well, to our office, as Michael said, kudos to all of my peeps in the office. I mean, I have such a great group surrounding me up there, and certainly in reaping the benefits of what Greene has done over the last few years. We're a growing office right now. I mean, that has as much to do, hopefully, I would like to think that it's the family atmosphere that we have in our office as much as the economy. But we're actually in a growth spurt right now, adding some agents. Tim Taylor, who just came on with us, basketball coach, UVA girls basketball.
I know Greene.
Yeah, so he's and he's more of he's a Madison boy, but so he's just up the road, but really jumped in with both feet and doing a fantastic
everything that guy
job.
does is 100 miles an hour.
And he's successful at everything he does.
Yeah.
And it's not just about him, but I mean all of and I want to remiss, I don't want to not mention anybody, but we're about 13 agents strong in the office, and it's been a fantastic group to work with. I'd ask anyone to call in, not just me, but any of the agents. I would have no hesitation of saying, hey, you're going to be in great hands with any
I see why you're good at your job, man. I totally can see why you're good at your job. You're getting props on the feed here. Corbin says, I'm online looking at property right now. I haven't looked north of town for a few years. I'm very surprised at the relatively low prices for commercial 29 footage in Greene County. Corbin, I'm going to hook you up with Woodson, with Matthew Woodson after the show. That's a good starting point. If you have a question about a potential snows in Greene County, this man said, bring it. He says the community will support you.
Yes.
I mean, because put the ecosystem of what he does in perspective, so he can get a little more insight of why Greene may be a good fit.
Well, for Corbin's reasons, I guess. I mean,
for his
any growth, residential, commercial, whatever. I mean, that's exactly what he does. He's going to provide the landscaping. The bushes, I call them bushes. Sorry, Corbin.
He services it.
Yeah. He services and sells. I mean, it knows not only, again, he has a show. I mean, the advice.
He's the expert.
I mean, it's not like going to Lowe's and not knowing what you're getting. I mean, so anytime you always want to go, look local first. I mean, whether it's, when I say local, I mean, your small guy is always going to be coming from a small
Me too.
business, family-owned business for so many years. The difference of what we used to do when I was in that business to what it is today to go into Lowe's. Nothing against Lowe's. I love to go into Lowe's like any guy does.
We understand what you're saying.
But it's it's a different atmosphere. I mean, if you don't know what you're looking for, then you're looking for someone who can advise you and point you in the right direction. And certainly Snows has been around for a long time, so they're doing something right.
Excellent answer right there. Ashley Douglas, thank you for liking and sharing the feed, guys. Couple more questions here. We're going to wind down with Matthew Woodson, who I think has crushed it.
Thank you.
Dude, you are a pleasant conversationalist.
Thanks.
You are easy to have a conversation with. A couple things. I'm going to close the show by saying, did we miss anything? I'm going to close the show, and I'm going to give you some time to come up with that answer so you can think about it. I'm going to close the show with looking for a highlight reel of why Matthew Woodson and the Greene County Roy Wheeler office is the right choice. So you have some time to think about that.
Sure.
Before we do, when the Woodson family is out and about, and they're supporting Greene County, because we know you support local.
Yes.
where are we going to see the Woodsons? What are we going to see them doing? How are they having fun? Who are they rooting for?
Gosh.
What are their hobbies and interests?
So together is a tough one. Unfortunately, I have 3 children, so you'll find us at McDonald's a lot. I know that's not local, but if we're going out, I mean, whether it's talking about going out with some friends on Sunday, which will probably, it's Sunday evening, so that'll probably have to be Coppersmith, so because the other place isn't open, Jack Shop. But you'll usually see my family if we're all together on the golf course, at Green Hills. By the way, what a fantastic course. If anybody hasn't ever played it, I certainly think that it's one of the finest golf courses in Central Virginia. I mean, we're not a Spring Creek. I mean, we don't have millions and millions of dollars invested. This is a 1969 golf course, with some of the most fantastic views you can ever hope to have on a golf course. We're not loaded up with houses all around us. It's just you and the golf course, and these beautiful views and Bermuda fairways and bent greens and just more or less and go into the
I've partied
the
at
19th hole, not what we call the 19th hole.
Which is the bar.
And to take the time to meet some of the people, because they're some of the most welcoming and best people you'll ever meet.
And I will say, from firsthand perspective, probably 5 or 6 times partied after hours at Green Hills, and I felt entire time like part of the crew. Yeah. Like welcome. Yep. Like it was so relaxed. And conversation with anybody. And we no standoffish.
That. We promote that. Yeah, we're welcoming to all and just glad to have people.
It seems to be one of the epicenters of the county.
Yeah.
I mean, like the watering hole, if you may, like the spot for gathering.
Yeah. So we're a small club, and not to go into huge details. I mean, so it's out of ways for people to come and frequent. But in general, I mean, they have their happy hour times that people will come in the afternoons just to hang and see each other. And, I wouldn't, we're not out there till midnight on weeknights or anything. But, I mean, it's just happened to be in the area just to drop by for a drink or some French fries just to see everybody. It's just a great place to go see everybody.
Second to last question. And the last question is a sizzle reel waiting to happen of why folks should choose Matthew Woodson in the Greene County office. We'll turn that to a highlight. Before we get to that, I have to ask you about schools. The school system in Greene, you grew up. I mean, this is a question perfect for you, man.
Yeah.
You matriculated through the school system. Yes. And now you know the school system well as the parent of kids in the school system.
Yes. Fantastic.
And how has it improved?
Well, it's changed so much just in general, not our school, but just how kids are today to where I was. I find myself acting like my dad, saying things like, but when I was your age, but right now we are doing some improvements at the school, which I think we touched on. I mean, we're doing a $28 million bonded improvements to high school and middle school and the parking and for anyone who says, hey, we didn't need that. I mean, we were trying to teach our children, the way I was taught 25 years ago, where my dad went to that school, when he was there in the early 70s. I mean, not much had changed with, some small things, but, the world is different and kids learn differently now. And we're adapting to that in Greene County. I mean, with spaces and learning centers and the old room, long hallway is not the way that we teach children today. And God knows because I have a tough time with my own kids, but, I will put a shout out to the teachers and my daughter who graduated and is now at Bridgewater College playing golf. Always supportive. Anytime we had questions or whatever, we felt like that we knew. My wife maybe more than I, had a relationship with them. And quite frankly, it's a better school than when I went through, and nothing about, back then. But even for a rural community, I get that in real estate a lot is how are the schools, which we can send you to websites and things. But that doesn't tell the true story about the school system. You can look up the data, I mean, but we do a great job of sending kids to secondary schools to graduation rates are fantastic in Greene County. We may not be Albemarle with all the money and huge amounts of different programs, but the programs we have, and I also say PVCC as a satellite. My daughter graduated with I'm trying to remember how many AP courses already. She was already halfway through her associate's degree before she ever ended up in college. And it's just a walk across the street to the facility. It's been such a great cooperation and partnership between our school systems and the Piedmont Virginia Community College.
When you have people like Katie Brunel,
Yes.
who went through William Monroe High School and is now serving as what? The principal
of the high school.
Principal of the high school.
Yes.
When you have people like that in key leadership roles, you can't help but win. When you have people like Jess Stafford, the girls basketball coach, who I used to work with Jess Stafford when she was Jess Shiflett at ESPN Radio, when ESPN Radio was right there behind the Farm Bureau.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I was there in a rancher for 60 hours a week, working with Jess and a couple other guys.
Most people don't even know that that's there.
That's a radio station.
It is.
It's a transmitter and a radio station.
Yes.
I worked there for 2 years.
All right.
I drove into Greene for 2 years, every single day. And when I was watching Jess and got to know Katie and got to know Mike Maynard and got to know some of these key guys, I mean, I think Skip Hudgens lives in Greene County, works in Albemarle County. He's a teacher at Cale, is the Western Albemarle baseball coach. When you have people like this that are in key roles in the community, people like you, you guys can't help but win, man.
Yeah,
you can't help
Katie,
but win.
I throw Katie. We went to school together. We used to ride the same bus, so we go way back.
Yeah.
And so proud of what she's accomplished, and certainly to work with her now with my own kids and her daughter. I mean, it's still a tight knit community. Most of the folks that go away to school come back because it is such a great place to live.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Last question for you. You killed it. We filled over an hour. We filled 70 minutes.
Nice.
I think you
felt like 10.
Felt like 10. You were on point, dude.
Thank you.
Seriously on point. Last question I'm going to throw to you. Andrew Vaughn, thank you for joining us. A lot of people on the stream, dude. Thank you for sharing the stream, guys. Let's thank some of the folks. Jay Wyant, thank you for joining. John Updike.
Hey, John.
John Pritzlaff, commercial real estate agent on the stream right now. Final question. And then if you can engage with this camera. Why Matthew Woodson? Why the Greene County office for real estate needs? Not only just in Greene County, Orange County, north of town, northern Albemarle.
Well, I'd rather it be about our office. All the agents in there are just such selfless, serving people. I enjoy working with them every day. Certainly I can't do everything. I love to be a bouncing board. They're all engaged in local charities and things like that. They give back to their community. And we're all supportive of one another. I will tell you that if Jenny Barefoot or Kathy Markwood or Megan Perry, if any of these, Tom Linkus, I'm trying to throw everybody out there, if at any point they all have questions about anything that may be happening, we work as a unit. Real estate business is such an individual thing. It's hard to be in this business and be humble, but we try really hard where we are because we work as a unit and work together. Whether it's me or anyone else, we certainly know our community. We work in our communities. We serve in our communities, and any one of the agents in my office would knock it out of the park for anybody looking to buy or sell in Greene or Southern Madison, Western Albemarle. The portions of not Western Albemarle, I would say Northwestern, Earlysville area. I mean, those are the areas that we really entrench ourselves in.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Highlight
I'd
reel.
like to throw one shout out.
Sure.
In regards to the people coming in and out and visiting. We're going to be Lydia Mountain is for who don't know, a lot of cabins and stuff along the mountain. There is opening a lodge that is huge and up on Lydia Mountain, just west of Standardsville. That's going to be coming online in April, and just can't wait for that to happen. It's going to be a beautiful place to stay and visit. Retreats, business retreats, whatever. I mean, it's look it up. They're coming along. We're hoping to see that come on in sometime in April.
Good. Let me throw this to you. John Updike, your boy.
Yeah.
Says there must be
John's a good golfer too.
There must be an understanding that real estate allows you to work on your golf game. Matthew, what is your current handicap? I said, well, John, he says he's about a 6. And John Updike responds, yeah, right. I bet he's about a 3.
No.
Matthew likes a friendly wager, and the dude can play some golf.
No. I appreciate that, John. No, I am not. And I said a 6. I think if you actually looked it up today, it probably says I'm a 9.
John, is this guy a sandbagger? Are you sandbagging on that handicap?
I've never taken any money from John.
Are you sandbagging on your handicap? No, he's not sandbagging.
I'm a good captain's choice guy. You know, I'm always going to have that one or two holes that gets me messes up the score.
Gets you a little trouble.
Yeah.
I think we're all.
I'm
like
a good
that.
16-hole player.
That's like I'm a good like 9-hole player. And then I'm having a couple beers with my buddies.
That's
okay.
right. That's
You
right.
killed it. In fact, you made us way better. And I'm going to take some heat. The only thing we messed up on, and Harris, I'm going to give you some grief, is the spelling of that. You misspelled a name on Matthew Super. We'll talk about that later. I'm a perfectionist. Okay?
Uh-oh.
John Updike says.
I'll hold him while you.
John Updike says fake news. You are a 3 handicap.
Oh,
baby.
John.
You did well, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Did you have fun?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have fun today?
Oh, man, I always love talking about green. So.
I can tell you know,
Yeah.
and I'm going to close on this. I think the county's lucky to have you because you clearly are an evangelist and have vision, and you are able to balance growth and business mindset with what's doing well with the folks in the community that want maybe the other side.
Yeah.
You see
Well,
perspective.
pulling them all together
Yeah.
is you know.
You're like me, and what I mean by that is like you are an epicenter of ideas.
Yeah.
You bring people to. You just want the
They're
conversation
not all
going.
good.
Right? But you
Yeah.
want to hear them.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with hearing something.
No.
Yeah, I love that about
Yeah.
you. Tomorrow, guys, we have Dave Norris, the
Yes.
former Charlottesville city mayor, is going to join us tomorrow to talk about the city of Charlottesville and its economic climate. The following week, next week, Gerard Smith, who's running for Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. On Monday, Laura Fauner, the executive chef and soon-to-be owner at Dooner's Restaurant, will join us on this program. This show, guys, puts the best of Charlottesville and Central Virginia in a spotlight. That's the entire thing we're trying to do. We're trying to use long-form content, not just a 15-second soundbite you hear on radio or on television. And we're trying to put thought leaders like Matthew Woodson in front of the spotlight so you can learn from him, her, whoever it may be. Positivity, Central Virginia, positive light. Everyone's like, oh, it's I Love CVille. Well, guess what, guys? Charlottesville and Central Virginia are one in the same. When people start realizing that when you boycott Charlottesville, you're actually hurting your home in the county, start realizing that because that's what's happening when you say, oh, I'm boycotting Charlottesville, okay? You're only hurting yourself in the county. Charlottesville and Central Virginia are one in the same. Dave Norris joins us tomorrow, former city of Charlottesville mayor. I'm Jerry Miller. This is the I Love CVille Show. It is the best of Charlottesville, Virginia. We close the same way. Please, Charlottesville, be good to each other. See you tomorrow at 12:30.